Welcome back. All right, news of the day video for all you fine people on the internet for your Tuesday. It is September the 9th. Starting off at the top of the board, and Dustin Wolf has signed an extension with the Calgary Flames. It is a 7-year extension, carries a cap hit of $7.5 million. I have seen some people saying for one good year, no. Dustin Wolf did have a very good rookie season, but he's been very good throughout his career thus far. Absolute steal late in the draft when he was drafted, and excellent numbers in the AHL, followed up by excellent numbers in the NHL. He just keeps getting better every year. So my guess is they wanted to get this signed now before he has another really, really good season for Calgary. He might be the best goaltender I've seen in Calgary since Kiprusoff. Might very well be. At any rate, Wolf signs this contract. I think it's kind of rude of Calgary to do this week because last week was goalie week. And here they are signing Wolf this week, so kind of rude by the Calgary Flames. So good news for Oilers fans. The LTIR investigation into their handling of Evander Kane this past season apparently is done. Bill Daly just saying, yeah, it's finished. And so no punishment to the Edmonton Oilers. My guess is, A, there's probably not a lot there, and B, you just close the LTIR loophole, just let that go and just, go forward with that LTIR loophole no longer being in place. And everybody seems to be pretty happy with the idea that LTIR is not going to be an issue going forward. So yeah, it makes sense that the investigation into the Oilers and Kane here just goes away. So Jack Hughes, and this is one of the weirdest things in hockey to me, is that the obsession with the idea that Quinn Hughes is going to go to New Jersey. Jack Hughes says, yeah, he'd love to play with his brother Quinn. Why wouldn't he? But I do remember the rumors of how the Stahl brothers were all going to end up together in Carolina. Didn't happen. I don't necessarily see Quinn going to New Jersey in 2027. And Jack Hughes says he does add the word eventually. Basically says, yeah, he would eventually love to play with his brother. And who wouldn't? At any rate, I think the Hughes that is the bigger issue with New Jersey at this point is Luke Hughes still not signed to an extension at this point. But it is weird how it is a conversation in Vancouver and has been a conversation in Vancouver for years. It just gets louder, but it's been a conversation for years of, he's just going to go to New Jersey. He's just going to go to New Jersey. I remember when he signed the extension, he being Quinn, I remember it being, well, it's not an 8-year extension, so clearly he wants out. Then why would he sign an extension at all? Anyways, so this is a storyline I'm sure we'll hear over the next 2 years about how Quinn's going to go and play New Jersey, and clearly everything's fantastic in New Jersey. That's why they keep winning so many Stanley Cups. At any rate, I find the thing kind of silly, but, for Jack to come through and say it, using the word eventually, I think is the key thing here. Like, yeah, he'd love to eventually play with his brother. There's no plans because he can't. He can't just go to his brother and go, hey, a couple of years, just don't sign there and come play with us. I'm not sure how tampering rules work between players, but I don't think New Jersey'd be all that happy if somehow they got roped into something. So at any rate, it is one of those odd things I'm sure we'll hear about tons more, but yeah. Sidney Crosby. So Sidney Crosby, the questions are out there, and now the questions he's getting are very often about whether or not he might want to go to Montreal. Well, I mean, he says he grew up a Montreal fan. He has said that for a long time. Doesn't necessarily mean he wants to play in Montreal right now, but he does admit that, he'd like to play some playoff games. He'd like to make Pittsburgh better and get back into the hunt. His agent certainly isn't opposed to the idea of him being traded, but the agent obviously would see that Crosby could make more money if he went somewhere else once his next contract was due, because his $8.7 million cap hit is high, but it could be higher considering how fantastic he's been throughout his career. So $8.7 million is high compared to the average player, but compared to what Crosby has meant to the National Hockey League, it is not a lot of money for Crosby himself. At any rate, I do agree, Crosby sees himself as a Penguin for life. I don't see any reason to think that that's changed. And if it does change, Kyle Dubas will be willing to entertain the idea of trading him. I don't know what you get back in a trade for Crosby, though. Like, Crosby is such an icon in hockey, but he's also 38 years of age, so I have no idea what you'd look for in a trade for Crosby at this point in time. Florida. Getting in on the PTO side of things, they've signed Noah Gregor to a PTO. So we'll see if he ends up earning himself a job, or maybe he's trying out for a job with Charlotte, right? Their AHL affiliate. Either way, Noah Gregor can be a good bottom six forward here and there. We'll see if he works himself into a contract with the Florida Panthers. Jeremy Swayman unveiled a new mask, which is nice. It includes the Charlestown Monument, as well as his niece's handprint, amongst some other things on there. Obviously, Boston changing their logo back to the 80s style, and so since they're going with that retro logo, goalies have to change their masks. I sometimes wonder if goaltenders are kind of rooting for a change, so they have an excuse to go with the new mask. But yeah, Swayman getting a new mask. Hopefully, new jerseys, new mask, new everything. Hopefully, Swayman, keeping in mind that goaltenders can be a little odd and goaltenders can be very superstitious. Maybe we see Swayman's numbers turn around. Who knows? Maybe the jersey changed, the logo changed. As weird as that sounds, goalies are weird. Celebrini and Smith, and that's Will Smith, of course, spotted at the Giants batting practice, and Smith has a pretty good swing too. So I think this is a nice tie-in. The Giants and the Sharks have had crossovers before. I have a couple of jerseys that were handed out at Sharks games, which are Giants inspired. It's a Giants crossover. I also have the Golden State ones. They did some with Golden State Warriors. That yellow one, that's quite the jersey. But at any rate, I think it's nice for the Sharks to have these crossovers with the Giants. I think it's great too that Celebrini and Smith are, building up some entertainment value for the San Jose Sharks. They are still in this rebuild, but now they've got those star players, those marketable young star players, and I think we'll start seeing the attendance going up in San Jose. I think they're going to get better this year as well. Not playoff better, but better. Andrei Markov, Montreal Canadiens legend. They're going to have a homecoming night for him in Montreal on December the 3rd against the Jets. This is to celebrate his 16 seasons with the team. It's a long time to be with one team. Markov, a very steady defender for the Montreal Canadiens for a very long time. And so it's nice to see that they're going to celebrate his 16 seasons with the team. I'm mildly surprised they're not doing a jersey retirement or some other honor with him, but I didn't see anything regarding that. So, Markov gets his homecoming night December the 3rd. Get your tickets if you haven't already. Columbus. Now, Columbus is a team that has been dealing with Chinakov's trade request this summer. And by all accounts, even though Chinikov is one of the first Russian players of the Columbus Blue Jackets to come over, get ready for training camp. He's in excellent shape. Apparently, the trade request has not been rescinded. So he'd still like to get a trade at some point soon. And Fantilli is apparently in no rush for an extension. It's not going to get done before the start of the season. One thing that Don Waddell has to do as the general manager of this team is he's got to stop players wanting out. He's got to find a way to make sure that there aren't more players wanting out of Columbus, because it's a narrative that has gone from, Laine, Bobrovsky left as a free agent, so did Panarin. There are a lot of players who have left this team. Dubois is another one, right? Dubois for Laine, and then Laine leaves too. The Blue Jackets need a win here. They need Fantilli signed to a long-term extension. They've got to lock him down. But him not being in a rush for an extension makes sense because Fantilli had a 31-goal season. I'm sure he figures he can do better than that this year, and that'll increase his asking price at the end of this coming season. But it is very important for Columbus, much like Ottawa before them. Part of how Ottawa becomes a playoff team this year isn't just the acquisition of Ullmark, it's that they get all these young players and then they sign them all to extensions, and they had that continuation rather than having to replace players every year and dealing with this guy wants out, that guy wants out. Columbus needs to make sure that doesn't become a thing. So if Chinikov wants out, you got to trade him, but you got to find a way to make sure you're keeping Fantilli. Just to change the narrative around the NHL about which teams players do or don't want to play for. At this point in time, the teams that players don't seem to necessarily be as anxious to stick with long term. Columbus has that reputation, Buffalo has that reputation, and Vancouver to some extent does as well. Although both Besser and Garland decided to sign long-term extensions, there is still that belief that Vancouver's the team that players might be trying to avoid. Although it's more in the no-trade clause area of things. But at any rate, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. I'm a little bit late getting this one started this morning. I did spend some time with my wife. Obviously, I will be doing that now that she's back home. And just making up for the almost 4 weeks she was gone. So thank you guys so much for your well wishes throughout. Thank you guys so much for watching this video throughout. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. It's greatly appreciated. I will talk to you again soon.